Okay everybody, so I'm going to show you what I've done. I got my first layer of repair on my speaker, and I'm going to let that dry overnight, and then I'll come back and put another patch more on it. So I got that. Now what I'm getting ready to do, and you guys are going to get to watch me do this. This actually cleaned up better than it was. It was really cruddy, and it actually cleaned up pretty good. But I decided this is the back for the dial bezel, and it's flocked. So I bought some flocking, and I think that's pretty darn close to the color it probably was before it got all cruddy. And I'm going to try flocking this thing. Now, I've never flocked before, so it may or may not turn out worth a darn. But you're going to watch me do it, so let me get it set up for this. Okay, so what I've got, I masked that off a little bit. I've been agonizing over what I was going to use for glue. And I just mixed up glue for my speaker repair, and I think I'm going to use that, but I also mixed some additional glue in with it to give it a little bit more body. Okay, so here it is. And it's pretty thin, but I want it thin because I want it to lay flat, because what I don't want this thing is to be all bumpy. So, having never done this before, I'm assuming that once I get it wet, I'm just going to powder it on there. So I'm going to give this a shot. I guess most I can do is ruin it. But worst comes to worst, I can just, grind it off, I guess, and paint it. But yeah, figure try something different. I've never done this before, and I've actually never had one that was flock like this. So I'm hoping that there's enough glue in this that by the time I actually pour the stuff on it, that it's gonna stick. I don't want it high, but I don't want it low, and I don't want it dry. I'm gonna pull it and don't know it. So trying to keep it, I want this even. See a big streak? I don't want that big streak in there. Dry my brush out. Get some of that out of there. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna give that a shot. Now, obviously, I'm putting too much on here, but my thought is that it'll stick to the glue, and as the glue dries, it'll stay on the spots where the glue was. I was thinking about, should I try and mash it on here? Probably is what I'm thinking. Let's try this piece of filter. I mean, I think all we're trying to do is just make sure it's stuck down into the glue. This may not even start to slightly work. Like I said, I've never done it before, so you and me are going to learn together here on this trial. And then I'm going to mash this all down, and then I'm going to let it set and dry overnight. And then in the morning, we'll see what we get. May not be good, but it might turn out. Only time will tell. I'm actually kind of happy with the amount of pressure I've gotten on this, and it hasn't like taken it off. So we'll do that. We'll see how that is in the morning. I'll put my lid back on my glue here and have it for tomorrow morning. So we'll see how this works out. Okay, so hello everybody. Welcome back to the workshop. So what I've done since my last part 3, is I've made repairs to this speaker cone. One of my subscribers had asked me if I was going to do that and show you guys, and this was after I'd done it already. Didn't really think about it. I've done quite a few speakers, and I think the Atwater Kent, I showed quite a bit of that one, but I'm not completely done with it. So since he asked, I guess I'll show you guys kind of what I have done prior to now. So I don't typically use the Eileen tacky glue. I typically use this. I don't know why. I think it just seems like it works better. I don't usually mix this one with water. But anyway, that being said, I used the Eileen tacky glue. Had a little container that I put some water in, and I thinned it out. So that's the Eileen tacky glue thinned out in water, okay? Then what I like to do is get a coffee filter, and I'll tear off the piece I need. Now if you can see that, when you tear that, there's all kinds of little microfibers there. If you're in focus here, I'm not sure if you're in focus. But there's lots of little microfiber hairs in there, and all those help to get a good bond. On this one here, I actually had a straight edge. I wasn't paying a heck of a lot of attention there. Now, the original tear out was right here-ish. And also I noticed there's one over here and there's one over here. Apparently it was a little bit more rotten than I originally thought it was. So I had gone ahead and made these repairs. I doubled this one up a little bit. I haven't doubled this one up yet. I don't think I'm going to double it up. I think that the filter papers should be sufficient. But I think what I am going to do is I think I'm going to paint some of the Elmers, because that's usually what I do. Is I'll paint some Elmers on there, some of this. I'll put my filter paper on there. I'll paint over that. And then ultimately I coat the whole speaker, because it's more of a rubberized type cement, and it gives it better spring. So I think what I'm going to do right now to finish off this speaker cone is just going to be go ahead and paint some of that on there. I'm going to grab a new brush, and we'll just paint some of this on there right out of the bottle. Like I said, I typically don't thin this one down. And it does go on sort of thick, but it's not that bad. So I'm going to pour some around the edge there, because I'm going to work that in around in that cone area. So the more modern cones, you know, they have that rubberized surround on them. And this kind of, in my opinion, which my opinion isn't worth much, but in my opinion, I think it kind of helps mimic that. And if there are any micro fractures in that paper, I think there's one right there actually. As I'm pushing on this, I can see a little micro fracture right there. It'll fill those micro fractures in, and it doesn't necessarily require a lot of filter paper to do that. So this is what I usually use. I used the Eileen's the other night, kind of as an experiment, because I haven't really used it in the past, because I just didn't like the way it was reacting. It just seemed like it was more like water, and I guess I could have mixed it thinner or thicker, not so thin, and maybe would have felt more successful with it. But typically I'm not patient enough to wait on stuff like that, so I don't. I use this. And this, like I said, it's worked really well for me on the speakers that I've used it on. And it's kind of like one of those things, when you get something that works, why mess with it? So we're just going to go ahead and finish coating this speaker. Now I'm not going to get it all the way down to the center, but We'll just take it right down to the center, but not all the way down. So like that. Like I said, I've done this a few times now, and they've always turned out pretty good. So I think that's what we're going to do with this. Maybe a little bit more right here since I saw that crack, and then that'll, because it's got the additional thickness on there, it'll take care of that. So that looks pretty good. I think that'll probably do this. And I think that'll do it for this. For the speaker cone, I think that should do us. So hopefully you found this helpful. Stephen, I think you were the one that had asked. And what I didn't show you is the actual placement of the filter paper, but I think that's pretty good. So again, obviously this is just filter paper, and I don't necessarily usually want to go with the straight edge, so I'll usually just kind of tear it off in approximately the shape that I'm going to be using it in, right? So that's that. So we'll go ahead and let that set up. I'm going to put my cover back over it and set that aside, because now we're going to work on the flocking that I started the other night. Okay, so we're back. So this is the dial backing that we flocked earlier, and I didn't get to it the next morning, which was yesterday morning. I wound up having to make some other repairs on something else in the house, so I didn't get a chance to work on this. So we're going to go ahead and start. Then I'm going to start by shaking this off and see what we get. To recap, we used the Eileen's watered down glue, and I sprinkled it on there, and it's now sat about 48 hours ish, 36 maybe. We're going to shake it off and see what we're left with. Not impressed. I mean, I guess it's okay. I don't know what this was. I had a couple rivets here and a couple rivets here. I'm not sure what that was, why that absorbed right there. Must have been a chunk of glue or something. I mean, it's on there, don't get me wrong, it's on there, and maybe that's sufficient enough. By the time you see it through the radio, maybe it won't be as apparent. I mean, it's got a little bit better color to it. You see it's got a little texture to it because it's flocking. I think I'll live with it. It's got color to it. It looks better. It's not as even as I would have liked it to have been. That's the thing. It's not as even as I would have liked it to have been. It's like if it was a nice even coat to be one thing, but I can see like sort of splotchy areas there. I don't know. I think I'm going to go with it, because if I try and redo it, I'll probably make it worse. Once it's in the radio, it might look pretty good. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather this back up, this amount of flocking here, I'm going to gather it back up and put it back in the package so I can use it again later. I cleaned the table off, the bench off before I put it on there, so there's not going to be any dirt in it. Let me do that. Okay, so I cleaned off the bench, got, I'd say, recovered probably 90% of the flocking material that was in this package. And I thought you guys might want to see where I got the flocking at. It's www.craftflocking.com, and they have a whole rainbow of colors. I got 2 different colors. I think I showed you earlier in the video, a lighter one and then this one. So this is the one I went with. It was closer to the color, and I mean, it's on there. I'm not thrilled with it, but it's on there. I mean, I think by the time it gets angled in the radio and everything, it'll probably look all right. So we're going to go ahead and use it. So let's go ahead and let me get the radio over here and see if we can get this thing mounted on it and string a dial cord maybe. Okay, I'm going to tip this thing up a little bit. Put on a piece of 2x4 here. Hopefully make it a little easier for you to see what I'm doing here. One thing I was noticing on this was on the back side where the pulleys are. There's actually quite a bit of space on the pulley shaft. It's like a rivet, see how much play that has. And I know, and they're all the same, but I noticed on this other side here, somebody's been in here and worked on it, and they wrapped these pieces of wire on there. I don't know if they were having problems with the dial cord coming off or if there was an issue with it, but I think I'm going to take them off because I don't think they're supposed to be there. And I would think that if the dial pulley isn't perfectly, you know, perpendicular, that it might want to come off. If these were on here, I'm thinking I don't want them on there. I'm going to try it with them off, put it back the way it would have been, and you know, maybe I'll wind up putting something back on here. I don't know, at some point in time, but for now I'm going to take them off and see what we get. I'm going to try to get it off if I can do it without screwing something up. I had to cut it, so let's see. Being kind of stubborn here. There we go. All right. Get you back in camera. All right. They're definitely loose. I don't think it requires me to put any lubrication in there. It looks like a fiber plastic bushing on that brass, so I'm not going to worry about putting anything on it. Alright, so the way this mounts is there's 2 screws. Let me set this down. I'll show you, there's 2 screws. My thumb's over one, right there and there. They actually go through the speaker holes right here and here. I was kind of excited to try that flocking. I actually think it would have worked better with a different type of glue. So I'll probably practice that again for the next time I have to use it. Okay, so now I got to string this dial cord. So I got my original dial cord and the spring and the pointer, which the pointer looks like it probably should have been white at one point in time. I might have to paint it, but it's actually not bad. So it actually cleaned up pretty nice. I'm good with that. So now the next thing is I've got this dial cord, and I had to cut it because they glued it. It's actually got a spot there that now I remember that I actually hit with my soldering iron. Okay, so I'm going to have to get a new piece of string. I'm back, folks. Boy, I'll tell you, I knew that I had dial cord, but I don't know how many of you guys are like me, but oh my goodness, I have stuff, I know I've got it, and I can never find it. I probably spent 30 minutes looking for this dial cord, and I finally found it in the drawer I thought it was, Unfortunately, I didn't, like my wife says, I never pull enough stuff out to see, so I wound up taking the whole drawer out, taking everything out of the drawer piece by piece by piece, and I finally found it. So there it is. Now, the interesting part of this is when you look at the winding instructions, down here it says it takes 62 inches of dial cord. Now, 62 inches of dial cord is quite a bit. And what I find interesting is either this thing wasn't strung right or those instructions are not correct. Because this dial cord, if I had to guess without measuring it, is probably about 36 inches. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I am going to string this old one according to the schematic here that they've got, and just see if maybe it wasn't strung properly the first time around. Because if I come up short, then I'll know I need the bigger string length. Otherwise, I'll be using this string as a template cord. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to start with a longer piece, and it says 62 inches. I'll make it 62 inches. I got me a little tape measure here. We're going to measure out 62 inches. And use that same Elmer's glue that I used on the speaker. We're just going to put a dab of glue on that. Like that. Same on the other end. Now those are set. All right. So when I look at this, I'm going to get me some tape. A little bit of tape here. And I'm going to feed this first one through there, through the hole. Like this. And just go ahead and tape it so don't pull out. And then, looking at my drawing here, we wrap under this shaft. So we're going to go under the shaft. Like that. There's 3. All right. Now what I'm doing is I'm just putting a little tension on that because I'm going to put a piece of tape on that so that that doesn't keep trying to unwind itself as I'm working on this. And hopefully all this tape I'm putting on here I can get off later. There we go. All right. So now this one goes around this pulley, this bottom pulley right here. You guys can see that or not. Goes around that, goes back around this, So we're going to put this around here, and then it goes back around here. There. Get your hiney on that pulley. Alright, there. I think. As long as that'll stay there long enough for me to get this on here. And we're going to wrap around that back side like that. And let's see here. Let's get this back up here. Alright. Then we're going to come around. We're going to come around that, like that, and around these two, like that. And if I was smart at this point, I wouldn't knock the radio off, but I also would put a piece of tape on that. So let's see how I can do that real quick without losing my spot, because they will come off of there sure as heck if I don't put something on there. Alright. Alright, that should keep them. Alright, now we're going to stay on this pulley, and then we're going to come back around. I'm going to go ahead and put another piece of tape over here. See, I like tape a lot, huh? But I know that's going to fall off of there if I don't put something on it. So, all right. Because now we're going around here. You know, it's not going to be that short, you know. So now let's take this off of here. And I'll put this back on here. But I'm getting ready to feed it back through this hole. You know, I could probably at this point lay this thing up on its back like this and let you see a little bit better what I'm doing, maybe. Alright. So now I have got to feed this one through here. Like that. I probably should have had a lot longer leg on this other end because I'm hoping that I can pull some of that through without losing it, and get me some more string. Okay, I think that's enough I can work with. Now, obviously the hard part is going to be making sure I've got enough string. See if I can feed this in here. There we go. On the other side of that tape there. Alright, so now I've actually got enough I can work with. So we're going to see if we can tie a knot here. There's a fine line there. I think that looks like that might be pretty close. I'm going to go ahead and put my spring in here. Oh, my knot is still loose. Alright, I think that's good. Alright, now all I got to do is get that spring hook back up. And I think we'll have it. I just got to figure out a good way to stretch this and be able to get it where it needs to be. Let's try one of these picks I've got here. That worked. There we go. Okay. Actually, it don't look bad. Alright, so let's turn it up. Get the tape off. Double check it. That tape. That tape. Oh, this tape. You guys still on camera? Yep. And I haven't managed to put another finger in that speaker yet because I didn't put the cover on. I guess I like living dangerously. Living on the edge. Okay. I do see a little crossover there, but I'm not sure if that's going to be a big deal or not yet. Get that string gathered up there a little bit. Get this one off. And then we're on the back side there. Let's see what we get here. It's working, folks. Okay. So I got it. I had a twist in the cord. I had to take it back loose and get the twist out of it. But we got it now. Disregard that because I got to cut that off. Okay, so from another angle, get where you can see that. I don't know if we can or not. There we go, maybe. If you can see it in through there. The way this thing tracks. You can see that or not. But we got her now. So, now we got to just finish this up with a little super glue on my knot so that my knot don't come loose. Don't mind my mirror here for a second. I gotta see what I'm doing. Okay, so I got super glue on the knot. And I'm going to shorten these leads up a little bit. There's one. There we go. All right. Okay, so now we're going to set this back up. And I got my lamp light here that we can plug in here. Slide up on its little station, maybe. There we go. And we got to get the dial indicator on now. With the thing fully closed, we should be over this dot right here. I can straighten it down a little bit. Make it so it don't scrub off our nice new flocking. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's better. That's pretty good right there. Alright. Alright, let me see if I can flip this thing up so I can see if I can get that cord on there slightly. I may have to support this slightly different. Okay, so I got the pointer on the string. Get some light on the subject here. And according to the alignment for the dial stringing, this dot here and this dot here, the outer edges of this pointer are supposed to for the extremes. So I've got it that way. That's as far as it goes that way. You can see it's just meeting the hole. And we'll run it across here. And it's just meeting the hole. So I think that's pretty darn close. I think I'll go ahead and throw a dab of glue in there. Let me flip this thing up on a board and we'll figure it out. Alright. Get it back where you guys can see. Get it open, get some out. There we go. See if we can get some in here. And that should hold it, I would think. And with a little heat, set it up real quick. I hope I didn't move in. Matter of fact, I'm going to make sure that when I roll it over there that it's still where it needs to be. I could have bumped it or something for all I know. Might have went smidgy. Might have moved it a smidgy. Yeah, it could go this way just a smidgy. There we go. Smidgy, that's a term, right? Smidge? I like smidgy. Alright. I think that'll be fine once that glue sets up. Alright. You guys got to see the flock. You got to see the speaker a little bit. And you got to see the dial cord strung. And we got our bulb put on here. Let's put that back since I moved it. So I think that the next thing we're going to take a look at is going to be me polishing up the cabinet, and we'll be taking a look at finalizing this radio. So I guess for now, let's call this particular part 4 complete. Again, I thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you're not already a subscriber, please make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button and join. And I should have the next video, which will probably be the final video, up in about a week or so on this Mantola R-654-PM. So from Gregg at Gregg's Vintage Workshop, I thank you for watching.